Hi, it's Henry, and today I'm going to be doing a review of robot Damashii Vayeate and Mercurius. Alright, so here they are, both looking very nice. Obviously based on their TV versions, although the, well, I guess quote-unquote EW version, there is a design version of Mercurius and Vayeate out there that's along the same lines as the Tallgeese EW, but you only see them in like one or two illustrations. No figures or kits have ever been made of them. But anyway, very nice looking figures. Definitely up to par with Robot Damashii standards. The posability is all there. Lots of nice weapons and accessories. As far as the paint apps go, Vayeate is obviously molded mostly in blue plastic. We've got gunmetal color for the joints rather than gray. A very nice light metallic blue for the mid-torso and the shoulder joints. The weapons are done in kind of a dark metallic black. You got gold for the sight and on the beam cannon there. A nice metallic pink for the camera eye. And likewise on Mercurius, molded in red. A nice metallic pink for the shoulders and the mid-torso. Green for the camera eye, and a little bit of gold on the planet defensors there. So as far as what you get in the box, you obviously get Mercurius and Vayeate. Let's see, you are also going to get some accessories for Vayeate. He's got 3 open hands. He's got the 2 standard open hands and then another open hand that's used for gripping the beam cannon. Come with 2 weapon hands, a connector for the Damashii stage, and an alternate headpiece for the open visor. And Mercurius comes with pretty much the same stuff, open visor, Damashii stage connector, 2 weapon hands. He only comes with 2 open hands since he obviously doesn't have a beam cannon. And then you're going to get the crash shield, beam effect part for the crash shield, and the small little gun. And then you will also get a sheet of instructions showing how to utilize all of the weapons and accessories. So with that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started on articulation. Now for the sake of the articulation portion, I've went ahead and removed Mercurius and Vayeate's weapons because they do tend to kind of get in the way. Anyway, starting at the head, you've got pretty much just a standard ball joint. So you've got forward and back, side to side. You've got rotation, and it's going to rotate about that far, not 360, just because, as you can see, the head is pretty tight in there with the way you got these ridges on the shoulders, but overall it's halfway decent. Not the best neck articulation there ever was, but still halfway good. Shoulders, there's a small little joint in the torso that'll let the shoulder rock back and forth and up and down like so. And the shoulder joint is actually a ball joint, so you got, your 360. It can come out about that far. Shoulder armor is pegged in so it can rotate like so. You got 360 below the shoulder. A single joint for the elbow. In fact, I think it's the exact same elbow joint that's on the Robot Damashii Leo and Tallgeese's. But even though it's a single joint, you get pretty much a full 180-degree bend, which is nice. And then you've got a double ball joint for the wrists, so lots of nice movement there. And the torso, you've got several joints here. There's a joint right where the lower torso connects to the upper torso, which is going to give you a bend like so. And then just below that there's a ball joint that'll give you some more forward and back and some side to side and a little bit of rotation, not much. And then you've got some rotation at the waist just because of the shape of this lower torso and the skirt armor. You're only going to get about that far to each side. So, not great waist rotation, but then again, I guess it's not too much of a problem. And since Mercurius and Vayeate's bodies are practically identical, I don't think there's much point in reviewing the articulation on both of them. Anyway, starting with the lower half of the body, got kind of a funky front skirt here. This whole section lifts up like so. So that way when you do the forward leg motion, this whole thing lifts up. It looks kind of awkward, to be honest, but it does give you the full range of movement moving the leg forward. These little side skirts are on ball joints that are actually attached back here, so they can go up quite a ways and back down, and they got a little bit of wiggle and rotation to them as well. This back skirt, however, doesn't move at all. It's just one solid piece. Alright, as far as the legs go, it's actually got a pretty interesting hip joint in here. The whole hip joint can move down like that, and as you can see, that's quite a difference right there. It's like the whole thing just comes right out and comes down. I've never seen a hip joint like that before, and you can do it on the other side. And I mean, that's definitely going to give you lots of range of movement. So even though I mean, you don't have to do that. You can still get movement without doing it, but pulling that out is going to give you like the best hip articulation imaginable. It's crazy. There's pretty much nowhere that the hips can't move. Anyway, beneath this little gunmetal part you have rotation. I believe it's, well, it would be 360 if it wasn't for this big side skirt, or whatever you call that piece. The knees bend almost a full 180, so you can say just about 180 degrees. Very interesting looking mechanism for the whole knee assembly. Got the knee armor here, this little side piece. Actually got some vents up under the little side skirt thruster thing, which looks nice. And just really kind of cool looking. Anyway, down at the feet, the ankle armor is separate. It's actually connected right here at the top via a ball joint. In fact, there it is right there. Just see if I can pop that back on. There we go. Anyway, that can move up all the way like so. And then you've got like a double ball joint for the ankle, so you've got plenty of side to side and rocking back and forth movement, plenty of forward and down movement. And then there's a joint in the foot as well. So lower half of the body is actually really nicely articulated. Lots of nice range of movement and everything. Pretty much on both of them, the only place where the articulation isn't so great is on the head. So now that that is out of the way, we can move on to weapons and accessories. Alright, I guess I'll start out with Vayeate. Obviously Vayate's main weapon, being the offensive unit of the two, is his enormous beam cannon. I'll start out showing you the backpack. Here it is. Got the back connector here. You've actually got two cables of, it's not rubber, but it's like a soft, kind of flexible plastic. And they have in the instructions for storage, you can connect that right there. You got the connector that'll go onto Vayate's back. That can swing back and forth, and it's actually got a little hinge there. The bar here can go up and down, and of course the backpack can also open up, showing some nice gold detail, the little reactor generator in there. And it connects easily enough. There's a hole on Vayate's back. Peg that in. And you're good to go. As far as the beam cannon itself goes, here it is. The little sight can flip up and then flip back down. Scooch Vayeate back here. You've got an arm here that's on a ball joint. It's got a second ball joint, I'll show you that in a second, for connecting to Vayeate. The handle right here swivels around. You got the little handle that he'll be able to hold on to. And then this end will obviously connect onto the cables. Vayeate actually has a really, the model kit had this, and I'm really not a fan of it because I think it's more trouble than it's worth. But anyway, for storage, the beam cannon connects on right there, and that ball joint is really kind of tight, so you sort of have to be careful with it. And they also give you another connector. There's another connector here. This seems to work perfectly fine, but apparently Bandai thought that we needed a second one that'll plug into the beam cannon and then plug into another hole on Vayeate's back. So it's actually now connected in two places, so it's not going to move around at all, but it's just sort of unnecessary, I think. Anyway, so that is the beam cannon in storage mode. To take it off, we'll just sort of get rid of this extra connector. And this is the part where it gets kind of fiddly. You've got a little joint down here. The whole beam cannon comes down on this little arm, flips around like so, and then you'll disconnect this part and it'll connect on right there. And then you simply grab Vayeate's weapon holding hand, pop it on there, and it'll go down on the handle. This is where things start to get a little bit finicky, and then you can swing that back around, and there we go. And you'll have the little weapon connecting right there, little arm. And then, like I said, he had an extra hand specifically made for gripping the beam cannon. And you can just bring that around here. Although his arm is a little bit short for it, but like I said, comes around like so. And then you can start pulling off all of your beam cannon poses. Now on to Mercurius's weapons. Of course, the most famous ones are the planet defensors. And these actually work very, very similar to the ones on the 1:144 scale no-grade Mercurius kit that came out back in the 90s. They're all connected together, and you can do them out straight, or at an angle, or at a curve, or however you really want to do it. And they've got a little ball joint back here. It's got two connectors, and they simply just pop into place. Like so. A little bit easier than the connection for Vayeate. And there you go. Now, one interesting thing is one of the things that these can do that the old model kit can't do is that these are actually detachable, or at least the last three are. This last one is single. These two are actually connected together, and that's where one of the joints is. And on their own, there's not really much you can do with them, but if you had a Damashii stage, you could use one of the little connectors, to hold them up like so. And honestly, you'd probably need several Damashii stages if you wanted to have all of these floating around, but that is certainly something you could do with them. Now, on to the other weapons. Mercurius obviously has the crash shield, just a simple round shield, and the back has a handle on it that can swivel up and down. Get out one of Mercurius's weapon hands, pop that on there, and the handle fits in the hand easy enough, slides right down. And there you go, just a basic round shield, nothing really fancy about it. And you also get the clear beam effect part, a very nicely detailed beam blade, sort of a very slight curve to it, and it just fits right on that center piece there. So now you've got the beam sword with the crash shield. And of course, Mercurius also has his little beam handgun, and it doesn't have any moving parts at all, but it does look quite nice. There's a little gold scope on it, and of course he doesn't have any trouble holding it, being so small. And there you go. So that about covers all of the weapons. Now I'll go over a few of these other accessories. You've seen the closed fist and the weapon hands. Also, like I said, there are two open hands for Mercurius and Vayeate. And also, they each have an alternate headpiece. Now, the model kit had this, but this one works a little bit differently. On the old kit, you would just take off the front face piece, which is really the only thing that changes, but on the robot Damashii, the whole top of the head comes off. So you can see that got that camera underneath there, and it's just got 4 small little pegs. And then you can get the alternate piece, pop that on there, for the open visor mode. And obviously Vayeate's works exactly the same way. And one last little thing, stand him up, is the Damashii stage connector. They both come with one. It's kind of a different looking connector. It's not a peg, it actually just sort of slots in right under the back skirt, and it's got 2 little nubs back there that it latches onto, and you stand it up and it actually does a pretty good job of holding them up. I actually like the fact that it connects up under the back skirt rather than between the legs, because that gives you a lot more options for displaying the legs in more dynamic poses. And honestly, I think the best way to display Mercurius and Vayeate is to invest in a pack of Damashii stages, because they really look better in aerial poses, in my opinion. So really nice display options for these 2 figures. Alright, before I wrap up, I did want to do a quick comparison to the old 90s kits. As you can see, Vayeate there. The robot Damashis are a little bit bigger than the 1:144 scale kits, and obviously this kit isn't painted, so there's that difference, but you can tell there is a significant difference in proportion and detail, and not to mention the posabilities on these 90s kits aren't all that good at all. And there's Mercurius, pretty much in a similar situation. All the accessories and stuff are there, but the detail and proportion and posability is just much better on the robot Damashii. Alright, that about does it for my review of robot Damashii, Vayeate, and Mercurius. And I love these 2 figures. I think they're fantastic additions to the robot Damashii line. You guys know how much I like Gundam Wing, so I'm always happy to see more Wing Damashis. It is kind of unfortunate that 2 popular mobile suits are Damashii web shop exclusive, so these are kind of hard to come by, but I am glad that they got made at least, so at least they are out there for us to have. And very nice updates on the old 90s kits. The posability is fantastic on these guys. The weapons and accessories are great, lots of playability, lots of displayability. The paint apps are all good. Really, my one and only complaint is just the little connector arm for Vayeate's beam cannon is a little bit fiddly, but other than that, these 2 figures are great. And again, I'm glad that they can come in a 2-pack instead of being sold individually, so that was a nice little bonus as well. So I guess that just about does it, and with that, I'll see you guys next time.